The Kawartha Lakes Food Source is celebrating their 20th anniversary this year. What better way to celebrate than to take you inside the warehouse to see just how this nonprofit distribution agency is helping the community.
The Kawartha Lakes Food Source is the largest food security organization based in the city of Kawartha Lakes. To do this, we gather in food and distribute it to our members and share it out to the agencies that we serve. The community programs support those beyond the food banks and efforts to improve food security within the city of Kawartha Lakes. Each week, the Kawartha Lakes Food Source purchases 104 bags of milk and 90 dozen eggs to distribute to our 9-member food banks to ensure that food-secure households have access to protein sources to enhance their physical and mental well-being.
Well, the origins of the food source can be traced back to the early 2000s here in the city of Kawartha Lakes. Several different local organizations and concerned citizens came together because they shared a desire to do something about the rising levels of food insecurity and poverty in the area. So those organizations included Queen Street United Church, a place called Home, the Canadian Mental Health Association, Community Care, Women's Resources, and the local police and fire and rescue services as well. Now, in addition, the Lindsay Rotary Club struck a committee that looked into matters of poverty and hunger in our community. And so the club formed a task force in the community from those above organizations that I mentioned. And the food source was formed officially in March 2002.
I am the coordinator of the Lindsay Community Food Market, which is a shopping-style food bank located in the north end of Lindsay. Due to COVID-19, we are closed to the public, so we're not able to have folks come in and actually grocery shop as what the food bank was intended for. But we do pack hampers and we try to individualize them as much as possible. So over the phone, I do a list with clients and I try to get what they need, what their children will eat, what their children won't eat, and we try to gear every hamper towards that specific family. Prior to COVID-19, we were a shopping style food bank, so folks were able to come in, they could have coffee and tea, they could bring their families. We had a coloring station set up with activities for the kids. It was a real social piece, which was nice. A lot of food banking, there is a lot of negativity around it, so we wanted the Lindsay Community Food Market to be a really positive space for families to come. Folks did an intake with me in the office and then they were able to go into one of the shopping rooms and essentially just do their grocery shop for the month. We serve approximately 300 people per month. Folks are able to call in, they make an appointment. We have appointments 3 times a week. I also coordinate the Family Cooking Project, which is an 8-week take-home meal program for families. We are run primarily out of the rural communities, so we have launched in Woodville and we've also launched in Omemee. Our next group is in Fenelon Falls. We have 12 families participating. They will receive a hamper with all of the cooking ingredients that they would need, as well as baking ingredients, and a kitchen equipment box. So that could include measuring cups, teaspoons, those types of items, so that they can make every recipe. Over the course of 8 weeks, they'll be able to prepare 24 different recipes with their families.
So we're here at the Kawartha Lakes Food Source Open Gardens. These gardens were created to provide the community with food 24 hours a day, 7 days a week during the harvest season. The Food Source created the garden and we maintain and water and harvest any surplus produce. Any community member that's in need is able to come and harvest what they need for a few days and then come back and get more of what they need. We do have volunteers that come and help us maintain the garden, and it is a really great spot.
Every day I get to come to the garden and I maintain it. So that's hooking up the irrigation system and weeding it, making sure everything's growing well, and then eventually I'll come here and I'll harvest the produce, or if someone comes to the garden, like a member of the community, I'll help them harvest whatever they need.
Any surplus food that the community doesn't harvest is then taken to the distribution center where we share it out to all of our member food banks to allow all of the smaller rural communities access to fresh, local grown produce. I used to work in Durham Region and I saw this model there. So when I moved to work here in the city of Kawartha Lakes, I reached out and asked if I could take their idea and bring it here, and they were very happy to do that. We were receiving a lot of phone calls on Friday afternoons of folks that were hungry, but there were no food banks that were open on Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, so they had to wait a few days. So we thought the garden would be a really good way during the growing season that those who had to wait a few extra days were able to access something. So what we plant is readily available and can be eaten with very little preparation or kitchen equipment. So there's a lot of carrots and beans and tomatoes, so they can harvest it, wipe it off on their leg and eat it. Obviously there's a need, so we try and fill that need as soon as we can. Looking at our sources of revenue, the board and I really decided to diversify our sources. Although we rely on donors and individual donors and the support from the community, we wanted another avenue to help provide the financial stability and growth of the organization. So it really came up that a food product was the best option for us. So we did some community polling and polled our volunteers, and we received back an overwhelming 70% or a few more said they wanted salsa. So we worked with George Brown College, and they formulated the recipe for us. We worked at the Ontario Agri-Food Venture Centre. It's a small batch food processing facility just an hour and a half from here. So we actually hand make all of our own. We make about 1,000 jars in each day that we go. And it is our hope that next year we'll have one local ingredient. We do need to monitor that to make sure that the consistency of the flavor and texture of the product remains the same. So we're hoping to get one product, some of it to be grown locally. So I am working with a farmer right now for that. You can get it at 5 local stores at this time. We've just launched sales on on May 20th, and it's at Reed's Value Mart, Burns Bulk, Farmer's Butcher, Fresh Fuel, and Mariposa Woolen Mill. And it's $5 a jar.
Now, over the last 20 years, we've been very fortunate to have almost 100 local citizens serve on the board. They've represented a wide variety of interests and abilities, and we've been very lucky to have such dedicated service from them.
On behalf of the folks that use our services and participate in our programs, the board of directors and the staff, we would really, truly, from the bottoms of our hearts, like to thank all of the donors and the community members who have provided food or cash or other aspects that have helped us do what we do. Without the community, we truly wouldn't be able to achieve what we do. So thank you to all the hours of volunteers that they put in, and thank you so much to all the financial donors that allow us to continue to support what we purchase and our operations to allow us to do what we do. And thank you to the businesses and churches and service clubs and organizations and that have all contributed to us currently this year and in the past. I do want to do a special thank you to all those who reached out immediately in response to COVID last March and April. The community support was humbling and very overwhelming in a time when it was very stressful and there was a lot of unknowns. What we did know was the community responded, and that was such a wonderful thing to see. So thank you so much.